night.
Heavy rain, flash flooding, and even sleet.
Oh no, the wild weather isn't behind us. A freeze warning now in effect overnight.
Breaking in Boston, reports of two backpacks left near the finish line of the marathon 1 year after the attack.
Caught on camera, a horse-drawn carriage careens out of control.
The terrifying moments for the 5 people stuck on board.
A middle school teacher accused of sending a sexually explicit video to a student.
WBTV was first to break this story.
New at 11, angry parents explain why they're concerned this could go much further than just videos.
This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas. WBTV News at 11 starts right now.
Record rains fall in Charlotte. Now the mercury is falling below zero as well. Good evening and welcome. I'm Molly Grantham.
I'm Paul Cameron. A freeze warning in effect tonight. Freeze warning. In the Piedmont, flash flooding. In the mountains, we saw sleet. And by the time you wake up tomorrow, we could be below freezing even here in Charlotte. Eric Thomas in the First Alert Weather Center tonight tracking what we expect in the morning. Eric?
Yeah, well, the skies have cleared out, and that, of course, is going to be another point to watch as we cool off very efficiently with it. Your Scott Clark Nissan Honda HD Tower Cam. Good look at the Queen City tonight. It was a cold night at Night Stadium there at BB&T Ballpark. So look at this. The Queen City barely clinging to 40 degrees right now. If you live north or west of Charlotte, everybody in the 30s right now and even into the 20s across the mountains, and we're just clinging to the low 40s as we get south and east. So the cold air continues to rush in as the rain moves out. So here's what it looks like. The entire area under the freeze warning through 10 a.m. tomorrow morning with gusts up to 55 miles per hour in the Carolina high country. So still a lot on the plate for the overnight hours. So again, if you care about those plants, make sure you take precautions, bring them in. This is your last chance as temperatures will be close to freezing in the pre-dawn hours. That's the way it is right now. The rest of that 7-day First Alert forecast coming up shortly.
New at 11 o'clock, a bomb scare in Boston right after ceremonies marking the 1-year anniversary of the marathon attack. Tonight, investigators detonated 2 suspicious devices. Police say they arrested a man in connection with the 2 bags left near the finish line of the race. Alexis Christoforous has the latest from Boston.
Jane and Henry Richard remembered their brother Martin during a private wreath-laying ceremony Tuesday morning. 8-year-old Martin was the youngest victim killed in last year's attacks. A large tribute was held at a nearby convention center where resilient survivors addressed the crowd.
Our survivor community is not something any of us have chosen to be a part of. Yet we are just that, a community.
We do wish that all of you, at some point in your lives, feel as loved as we have felt over this last year.
The group then gathered at the scene of the bombings on Boylston Street for a moment of silence. Church bells tolled for the victims. Just hours after the tribute, the finish line was once again the center of police activity when a shoeless man with a large backpack began acting strangely. This man, who did not want to be identified, saw what happened.
He was just yelling Boston strong, the whole time. They grabbed his backpack off him right away. They pulled him off to the side and set it down in the middle of the street.
A bomb squad was called in. The package was destroyed. CBS News has learned the suspect's name is Kayvon Edson, seen here on amateur video. The backpack apparently contained a rice cooker filled with confetti. A second backpack was blown up about 45 minutes later. The city remains focused on next week's marathon when runners from all over plan to finish the race Boston strong. Alexis Christoforous, CBS News, Boston.
For this woman, the anniversary is personal. A former Fort Mill resident, Demi Clark, was just feet from the finish line. You see her circled here on your screen when the first bomb went off a year ago. She now lives in Charleston, but told us by phone tonight today was not easy.
Today made me stop. I knew it was coming, and I knew it was going to have a kind of roller coaster of emotions.
Demi was not physically hurt, but says the events of that fateful day a year ago left her with emotional scars. Her husband and 2 daughters were also there. They were cheering her on near the finish line, but they happened to be on the opposite side of the street from where the bombs went off.
All new at 11 o'clock, we have dramatic video showing a horse-drawn carriage careening out of control on the streets of Savannah, Georgia. Now, this happened after the horse got spooked. Take a look. You can see bystanders trying to get the animal under control. The driver was thrown and the carriage continued on with 5 passengers on board. One of them was hurt when he tried to jump from the carriage. There was also children on board.
And the children were very, very upset, but they didn't get hurt, and that was the good thing.
We'll take now a look at the damage left behind. The carriage slammed into several cars on the side of the street. Investigators say it appears the horse's blinders somehow got pulled off, and that sent him into a panic.
Tonight, parents are reacting to the arrest of a middle school teacher accused of sending an X-rated video of herself to a student. This is a story we first broke on WBTV.com and Twitter this afternoon. Now, all new at 11, investigators told David Spunt they want to know if more kids were exposed. David?
Well, Molly, right now, Karen Blanton out on a $150,000 bond, but she's facing some serious allegations, and Cleveland County sheriffs say the investigation is not over yet. On her Twitter account, 34-year-old Karen Blanton says she's a farmer's daughter who loves sunshine and baseball. Now she's facing felony charges after authorities say she sent sexually explicit videos and pictures of herself to two of her students at Burns Middle School.
There's no reason to believe that there was any sexual contact, but there again, let me emphasize that this investigation is still ongoing.
Cleveland County Sheriff Alan Norman says the investigation began April 9th when administrators at Burns Middle School, where Blanton taught, discovered the videos and images quickly spreading around the school.
Me personally, I don't think the school system, that's any place for it.
We talked to a local dad who asked us not to show his face or give his name, but he called the Blanton case disturbing.
Your personal life is your personal life, but you do have to realize that you're working for a school system which deals with kids, and I don't think there's any place for it.
Sheriff Norman agrees and says the investigation is in its early stages. So if you know something, say something.
We asked the public if they have any information in regards to this investigation that would be beneficial to law enforcement to contact the sheriff's office.
Blanton scheduled in court tomorrow morning. Molly.
Thanks, David. A school spokesman told us tomorrow administrators will send a note to parents acknowledging the entire situation.
We have new information on the adoptive family of missing Rowan County teenager Erica Parsons. The two youngest children of Sandy and Casey Parsons have been moved to yet another home. Sources close to the situation tell WBTV social services took the children from their aunt after a problem between the adults in the house. They are now staying with other relatives. Investigators focused on Sandy and Casey Parsons in the search for their adoptive daughter, Erica. She was last seen in November 2011, but she wasn't reported missing until the following July. There is a $25,000 reward for information leading to Erica.
A Raleigh lawyer who once represented former KKK leader Fraser Glenn Cross says he was not a violent man, not then at least.
Did you ever see him as a violent man?
I did not. Anyone who ascribes to that sort of worldview, eventually they may act on it.
But a Kansas judge sent bond for Cross today at $10 million on charges he killed 3 people at Jewish Center Sunday. WBTV obtained these wanted posters of Cross from 1987 from a warrant issued in eastern North Carolina. He was then using the name Fraser Miller. He was listed as the leader of the White Patriot Party. Just a year earlier, Cross ran for U.S. Senate here in North Carolina. We talked about that last night here at 11 o'clock. Tonight, we're uncovering new details in the investigation of a dog that attacked 3 people at a local park over the weekend.
A sheriff's deputy eventually shot and killed the animal. Now, we first told you about the dog last night, and we learned he was originally scheduled to be euthanized before animal control let him go. Now, all new at 11 o'clock, Colleen Harry discovered exactly what went into that decision. Colleen?
Paul, the dog was rescued from Rowan County Animal Shelter, and the shelter did something it had never done before. The supervisor agreed to an alternative solution to euthanasia when a trainer told the county she could rehabilitate the dog.
Good boy.
His new owner picked him up from the Rowan County Animal Shelter, ready to give him a second chance. But that second chance ended on Sunday when the dog attacked 3 people at this Indian Trail park.
You've got to hurry. The trainer can't keep him down. She's got a broken hand.
So how did it get to this point? WBTV took a look at the dog's life. Rowan County told us Animal Control took the dog in as a stray around February 15th after he showed aggression. On February 21st, the dog bit a sheriff's canine deputy who wanted to see if he could work with the German Shepherd. The dog went into a required 10-day rabies quarantine that was supposed to end March 3rd. The shelter planned to euthanize the dog because he didn't have an owner and he was aggressive. But then strangers rallied to save him. Days before he was due to be put to sleep, dog trainer Siobhan Winter approached the shelter's supervisor with an alternative solution. She wanted to take the dog because she's a certified trainer who worked with German Shepherds. The animal control supervisor told WBTV in an email that Winter gave reasonable assurances that she had been successful in the past and would not endanger the public as part of Paul's training. The shelter agreed, and the county signed an agreement with Winter requiring, among other things, a secure kennel, beware of dog signs, and a muzzle if taken off property, unless he was in a training exercise. Sunday, he was in the park for such an exercise and went out of control.
We've got a lady down on the ground and bleeding. You've got to get here.
In that agreement with Rowan County, the trainer said Rowan County would not be held responsible to any adverse actions related to the dog. And Union County officials tell me they do not expect to file charges. We're live in the newsroom. Colleen Harry, WBTV, on your side.
Colleen, thank you. Now this story is what's trending tonight. Her question, when does a dog not deserve a second chance? You can log on to our Facebook page to leave a comment, and we just might read yours later in the newscast.
Next here at 11, strangers attacking people wearing expensive Google Glass. Investigators aren't sure what's behind the crimes. We'll talk about it next, Eric.
All right, Molly, thank you. Well, the cold air is plowing into the viewing area as we speak. I'll let you know how long it's going to hang around, but that freeze warning in effect for the overnight hours. There it is, the Queen City, clear skies and a blustery wind. It's all coming up in your 7-day First Alert forecast.
New at 11 o'clock, firefighters in Burke County thought a person was trapped inside a house as it burned. Neighbors spotted the smoke just after 6 o'clock. By the time firefighters arrived, much of the interior, you can tell here, was gutted. Crews from 3 counties searched the home. They learned no one was inside after all. The cause is still under investigation. Rock Hill police say they discovered a body behind a shopping mall tonight. This happened just after 6 o'clock at a shopping center on Cherry Road. Investigators say it could be related to a missing person call from last night, but they say they won't release any more information. We will let you know when they do.
You may have only a few minutes left if you want to be one of the first people to own Google Glass. The company is selling this computer technology to the public today and today only. But it's going to cost you big. Google Glass isn't cheap, $1,500 a pop. All the more reason this next story is concerning to a lot of early adopters. Strangers are attacking Google Glass users in California.
A person approaches me, puts their hand on my face, yells glass, and then before I realize what's going on, they run in the opposite direction of where we were walking.
In some cases, the attackers smash the glass on the ground. All the people in this, this is happening to say it's completely out of the blue with no confrontation.
Back now, Paul, to our rapidly changing weather. The storm system which blew through this afternoon is now well off to the east. You can see it, and behind it are freezing temperatures. That's what's coming. This is what we dealt with earlier today. Heavy rain in Concord caused this flooding on Poplar Tent Road. In the foothills, many farmers who thought the cold was finally finished spent tonight protecting their peaches. They are covering plants. They're hoping that will keep the frost off.
Normally past the second week of May we're okay, but the weather, especially the way it's been this year, you know, we've got another month to go.
Another month. The coldest weather today was in Banner Elk. That is where we even saw sleet. Sleet, April 15th, tax day, and we're seeing sleet, snow, and talking about freezing temperatures.
Taxed in more ways than one tonight,
right,
no question. Right. Eric Thomas over at the First Alert Weather Center. Wow, what a rainstorm we had this afternoon, Eric.
Yeah, really ripped on through. We even had some embedded thunderstorms with it, Paul. And then, of course, the blustery conditions, high wind gusts in some cases, and then the cold air rushed in. We had snow in the mountains. I'm not sure how much more you can pack in to one day of weather within this confined area we call the WBTV viewing region. Okay, Scott Clark, Toyota City Weather Net. Well, one thing I didn't mention is how we cleared out. There was the rain, the soggy lands, and absolutely clear skies just in time for the sunset. 41 degrees, that's where we stand at CPCC up there, very close to the Queen City. All right, look at this, though. The 24-hour temperature change, everybody across the board somewhere between 25 and 30 degrees colder right now than we were at this time last night. Wow, it really came flying in here. So the freeze warning in effect, and for good reason. Most locations tonight will get down to or below the freezing mark. We're figuring around 31 here. Now, the record low tomorrow, 29, so we won't miss it by that much. And That happened back in 2008, so it really wasn't all that long ago. All right, wind advisory for gusts up to around 55 miles per hour, but if this expires on time, you'll see it's only going to be in effect for, another 40 minutes or so. Now, the rain that did come through, and this is what Paul was mentioning, still a calling card right here. We have the Rocky River, which feeds into McMullen Creek, which works its way down into the Midland area. Small streams along there, the tributaries still going to be swelling up here overnight. So this will remain in effect, flood advisory, until 4 o'clock in the morning. So again, you folks in the flood prone areas, you may not be out of the woods completely just yet. In the morning, 8 o'clock, 36 degrees. But before the sun comes up, looks like we're going to bottom out right there around the freezing mark. So it's all because of this big cold air mass. Look at what's going on up in Canada, but it's sagging back down behind that front into the Carolinas. So the numbers look like this. They are chilly. 48, that'll be the number through the noon hour. That's right, only in the 40s midday. Mid to upper 50s by late in the afternoon. Then we're going to start working it back quickly again during the evening hours, 53, 45 around Boone and Blowing Rock. So again, we're just hanging on to that 40 right now. Everybody else to the north and west of Charlotte, with the exception of Gastonia, they actually just bumped back up into the 40s here in the last 10 minutes. In the 30s, down to freezing already in Morganton and way below freezing in the Carolina High Country. Fortunately for them, the growing season really not underway just yet. So 70 the high today, and here we go. Your chilly Wednesday, even with the sun coming out, but then we rebound pretty nicely back up to seasonal levels just in time for the Easter weekend. So the rain now, a memory. So left behind, this cold area of high pressure working its way down into the Carolinas. It'll be a long time before we start dealing with another storm system again, which could bring us maybe a little rain over the next 6 or 7 days. We'll show you that forecast. All right, so the Carolinas in the morning, the noon hour and beyond, we are clear sailing, but again, we'll have that chilly air in place. There's that front working its way through the upper Midwest. So here we go. Your first alert forecast over the next 7 days, 59 with wall-to-wall sunshine on Wednesday, but look how chilly that is. The average high 72. 64 on Thursday, mid-60s again on Friday, and then Easter weekend spectacular. And finally, some showers back in the picture on Monday. Does not look like anything severe for sure. But overall, I love the looks of this weekend and just in time for the holiday. That's the way it shapes up right now. Here's Paul and Molly.
Eric, thanks. Trending tonight, did this dog deserve a second chance? Animal Control in Rowan County had the dog in custody for aggressive behavior, planned to euthanize him, but a trainer convinced Animal Control to let her take the dog instead. And then this past weekend, he attacked again, hurting 3 people before an officer had to kill him. It's a difficult story to tell, but one many people are passionate about.
So what do you think? Do aggressive dogs deserve a second chance? Well, Jamie wrote, some dogs, yes, not if they are that aggressive. I have 3 dogs, and if I was scared of my dogs, I would not have had them.
Mallory told us, depending on the situation, if the dog bit someone before, chances are he will bite again.
Lynn says, I'm sorry, all dogs deserve a second chance. The new owner should have realized that he was not ready to be in public after 2 weeks in training.
We ask a question each night on our station Facebook page, WBTV.com/Facebook. Get on there, like us, leave a comment. We could read yours on the air.
And we're back with Lee in Sports coming up in just a minute.
Welcome back. 1 game left in the Bobcats regular season. It's tomorrow night against the Bulls in the Cable Box. Now, if the Bobcats win and the Wizards lose to Boston, the Cats take the 6th seed in the playoffs. And the team, they've been getting a big boost from their bench, like Chris Douglas Roberts. He nailed this shot for the win against Atlanta last night. Roberts, cool, huh? He's played in New Jersey, Milwaukee, Italy, and those are just 3 stops on the 10-city career path of this Bobcats guard. He also spent time in the NBA's developmental league. Now, he is the man known as CDR now, or some fans call him Clutch Douglas Roberts. He's been a vital part of the success for the Bobcats this season after being signed in December of last year.
I'm just so happy to be here, on this team with this group of guys. Like nobody expected the Bobcats to have this kind of a year. And one thing about us, we're not satisfied or content. We want to keep surging. We want to keep moving forward.
He's had games he's played 5 minutes, he's played well. Games he plays 30 minutes, he plays well. But it gets back to he's tough and he's smart and he's got high basketball IQ.
In the college ranks, Duke freshman Jabari Parker has a big decision on his mind to play in the NBA next season or stay with Duke. Parker was the highest scoring freshman in team history. He averaged 19 points a game and led Duke in scoring and rebounding. Now, Parker says he'll decide tomorrow on his future plans. However, there's been no press conference scheduled yet. Let's talk baseball now. Another great night at the ballpark. It was Jackie Robinson Day as well. Each player wore jersey number 42 in his honor. Knights got after it early. Bottom of the first, Josh Begley gets that one to bleed through. And then later in the inning, Dennis Phipps, well, he nails one and would earn the first ribby of the night. But Durham would later use a 4-run third. They would take the lead and take it for good eventually to win 9-2. And hey, you want to see a game this week? Here is the schedule. Tomorrow, they'll host Gwinnett at 7:05 Thursday. Thursday. Maybe I sound a little too excited about it. I don't know, but that starts at 7:05. And first pitch Friday against Gwinnett as well goes at 7:05. Well, NASCAR's 4-time Sprint Cup champion Jeff Gordon was recently interviewed by Larry King, who pointed out that Gordon was not getting any younger. But race fans, one of the sport's veterans is not retiring anytime soon. Gordon told King he can't wait to race another 10 years. He also talked about his daughter Ella in the interview, and he's looking forward to watching her behind the wheel of a race car. He actually tweeted this photo of Ella, who is now 6. It's her first time driving a quarter midget car. A lot of family time for NASCAR drivers right now because they have an off week before getting back to Richmond. They'll get back to work next week.
And you know what? We have something exciting to report about Leah tonight.
Oh, no.
You don't know this is coming, Leah. She's been named one of the 40 under 40 for the Greek America's 40 under 40. That's a national award.
Nice
Beautiful picture, Leah. That's a great picture. She's being honored because of all she's achieved, including her work with Alzheimer's, teaching kids about self-esteem.
And you know, she saved a life at last year's Knights game.
That's a good story. And it's true. We're not even making it up. Saved a life. So
Thank
congratulations, Leah. That's really exciting.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And we're back in just a moment.
All right, 59. That's going to be your high temperature tomorrow. That's right. Only 59 with the sun out all day. 60s Thursday, Friday. Yeah. And Paul's going to be hopping down a bunny trail on Saturday and Sunday. Happy Easter. Look at that weekend, though. Wow.
Don't I always, Eric?
Of course, Paul. Yes.
We'll be ready for that
Never in
weekend
doubt.
after this bizarre week, this crazy nutty weather. Thank you for making us your first choice for news at 11 o'clock.
We hope you sleep warm and sleep well, and we will see you again tomorrow. Good night.
A massive storm system over the deep south.
I'm tracking heavy rain and a major cool down on the way.
New technology, watching every move CMPD makes.
When you could see body cameras deployed on officers walking the streets.
You've got to hurry. The trainer can't keep him down.
A dog turns on his trainer at a local park, attacking volunteers and even a sheriff's deputy.
Tonight, the terrifying moments as the animal goes out of control.
The white supremacist accused of a mass shooting at a Jewish community center.
Tonight, we reveal how close he came to being an elected leader in North Carolina.
This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas. WBTV News at 11 starts right now.
A big line of storms over the deep south right now headed our way. You can see it. And when this all clears out, it leaves a major weather change behind. Good evening and welcome. I'm Molly Grantham.
And I'm Jamie Bolt in tonight for Paul Cameron. Lots to talk about. So we begin with Chief Meteorologist Eric Thomas in the First Alert Weather Center.
All right, Jamie, thanks a lot. We'll start off with our Scott Clark Nissan Honda HD Tower Cam, and you'll see that the city is still in plain view despite the fact we have some raindrops that have been falling. That right there, BB&T Ballpark, and it appears that the Charlotte Knights did get their game in tonight. You'll have more on that coming up in sports, but they were dodging the raindrops all evening tonight. But overall, nothing really too heavy. However, this line right now along Highway 321, Gastonia southbound, Clover, York, moving northeast at about 20. Now, that does have some heavier rain associated with it. Once we get behind this front, we have freeze watches Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. That's right, I said freeze watches around here. Unbelievable, but nothing close to freezing in the morning, 64. But more heavy rain moving back into the picture, all coming up in your 7-day First Alert forecast.
Okay, Eric, thanks. Starting this summer, an extra set of electronic eyes could be watching every single interaction between CMPD officers and the public. Just a few hours ago, City Council gave the okay for the department to install body cameras on officers' uniforms. All new at 11 o'clock, David Spunt found out not everyone thinks this is a good idea.
I'm told police are going to spend $250,000 on those cameras. Those cameras likely will be on the lapel somewhere that is visible to the naked eye. They don't know exactly how many cameras they're going to buy with that $250,000, but police officers tell me those cameras are necessary. In just a few months, if you call 911, file a police report, or get pulled over on the side of the road, expect to be recorded with new body cameras like these, already used in other police departments.
The video is recorded to the device then uploads the video into our system.
CMPD Major Steve Willis is overseeing the proposal. He answered questions from council members Monday night.
We've always been tied to that car. We've only been able to capture video in traffic stops and incidents that occur from the front side of a motor vehicle.
The cameras would physically be attached to the officer, an officer who cannot erase the video. We check with locals to see what they think about the idea.
I'm big on the invasion on privacy issues, so I think that it's I wouldn't want it to happen if I had a say in it.
But citizens don't really have a say in the matter. Why? Because the money doesn't come from taxpayers. Most of the money police seized from drug deals.
It saves us and the public from having to go back and ask what happened during a scene or something, and it's evidence, when you have to go to court.
Willis says the cameras are there to make sure officers are on the up and up.
Hold our officers accountable for their actions that they may have taken that might not be appropriate.
Had the technology existed in Charlotte, a camera may have been rolling the night police say Officer Randall Carrick shot an unarmed Jonathan Farrell last September. But Willis was quick to point out the camera won't only hold officers accountable, citizens will also be under the microscope.
It validates what they say, and it gives them some protection, and they're serving the public, so they need to be protected.
Tonight I spoke to the Cherryville police chief. He tells me that his department bought 9 cameras just a few weeks ago. Those cameras $400 a piece. CMPD, they're going to look at different companies. They hope to have those cameras on officers by the end of the summer. Reporting from CMPD headquarters, David Spunt, WBTV, on your side.
Thank you, David. Tonight's city council meeting was Dan Clodfelder's first official meeting as mayor of Charlotte. Not too much fuss, though. Council welcomed him to the dais, then it was business as usual.
A man who had hoped to become mayor facing more political disappointment tonight. Former Charlotte City Council member James Smudgy Mitchell dropping out of the race for the 12th District congressional seat. Mitchell sent WBTV an email tonight explaining his decision. He blamed the crowded Democratic primary field and said his campaign was having difficulty raising money.
New at 11, an SUV slammed into the side of a home in West Charlotte. WBTV cameras got to the home on Markland Drive right after this happened. 2 people had to be taken to the hospital. The Red Cross is helping those who lived there. Estimates are about $20,000 in damages.
A dog that was getting a second chance after a history of aggressive behavior snapped, attacking its trainer, a volunteer, and a sheriff's deputy over the weekend. All new at 11, Colleen Harry obtained the 911 calls detailing the terrifying moments of the attack. Colleen?
Yeah, Jamie, a Union County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed the dog after it attacked 3 people in a park in Indian Trails. A woman who was with the dog was feeding it when it just turned. Now tonight, deputies are running into an unusual problem as they try to investigate the dog's history.
Normally a quiet park, panic filled crossing paths Sunday afternoon.
It's a dog bite. Call the police and get an ambulance here. Did the dog attack someone? Yes. Please.
A dog that had its own Facebook page and developed quite a following attacked its owner and a woman who was there with them.
There's a certified trainer here. We were working with the dog, and the dog turned. Okay, did it attack someone in the face? Yes.
The owner started a campaign to rescue the dog named Paul when she learned he would be put to sleep for aggression. By late March, the shelter agreed to release him, and she posted this video of the moment she took Paul home for rehabilitation and behavior training.
Good. There you go.
Fast forward to Sunday afternoon. What was supposed to be a socialization session turned into an emergency in the park.
We've got a lady down on the ground and bleeding. You've got to get here.
But the dog was starting to get away from that officer, and the officer had a catch pole on him. The dog then bit that officer in the ankle.
After attacking 3 people, the deputy had no choice but to shoot and kill Paul.
The officer felt like he was losing control of the dog.
But this was evidently not the first time the dog attacked.
She was told that it had bitten someone before when she got it.
Despite that, Union County Animal Control ran into roadblocks trying to trace the dog's history.
And she told us she had signed a non-disclosure statement with the people she had gotten it from, stating she couldn't talk about that.
And late this afternoon, Union County Sheriff's deputies confirmed the dog was rescued from Rowan County Animal Shelter. I called and I emailed the director of the Rowan County Shelter to find out why a dog with aggression history was adopted out and why was there a non-disclosure agreement, as the owner stated that it happened. We have not heard back from Rowan County, but we're going to keep trying. We're live in the newsroom. Colleen Henry, WBTV, on your side.
Colleen, thank you. We just got an email from the woman who originally adopted the dog. She told us before this incident, the animal only barked at people. He didn't know and quickly changed his demeanor with positive reinforcement and added, in her opinion, the dog was making excellent progress.
The aunt of a 3-year-old boy who was accidentally shot and killed over the weekend says the family is devastated.
We're going to get through it as a family, as a whole, as long as we continue to pray together and keep God on our side. It's going to be all right.
Investigators say the boy accidentally shot himself at this home on Sunday. Police are still investigating where the gun was found, if it was secured, and how the toddler got his hands on it. So far, no charges have been filed. 3 men arrested after a shooting outside the Walmart in Belmont went before a judge today. Police say Malik Moore and Wesley Perkins met Matthew Ollis to buy a ring they saw on Craigslist. But police say Moore and Perkins stole the items and Ollis, the ring seller, started shooting at the vehicle. Perkins and Moore are half-brothers. They will be represented by public defenders. Prosecutors in Kansas are preparing charges against a longtime white supremacist accused of a shooting spree Sunday. It left 3 people dead.
Yeah, and tonight we found new audio of Frazier Glenn Cross spouting anti-Semitic and racist views on the radio, and new details about his run for political office right here in North Carolina.
Compared to our Jewish problem, all of the problems are mere distractions, including the problems that we have with black crime, for example.
Frazier Glenn Cross made these controversial comments during an interview on the Howard Stern Show back in 2010. At the time, he was a candidate for U.S. Senate, running as an independent in the state of Missouri. Now, 4 years later, investigators say the same hate motivated him when he shot and killed 3 people near Kansas City.
That he was trying to hurt somebody based on their ethnicity, race, religion. There's a whole number of categories under a hate crime.
The 73-year-old former KKK leader is accused of killing a 14-year-old boy and his grandfather at a Jewish community center, and then gunning down a woman outside a Jewish retirement home. But all 3 victims were actually Christian. Reet Griffin Underwood was at the community center to audition for a show. His mom found him at the crime scene, but would rather focus on their final minutes at home.
And I was lucky enough to get to hear both of those songs before he left the house. And I had him sing them one more time. And I got to kiss him and tell him I loved him.
Cross, who also uses the name Frazier Glenn Miller, twice ran for office here in North Carolina. WBTV has learned he got nearly 6,000 votes in the 1984 Democratic primary for governor and more than 6,000 votes in the 1986 Republican primary for U.S. Senate. Both political campaigns came after he was a well-established white supremacist. Cross founded North Carolina's White Patriot Party back in 1980, where he first began spouting paranoid beliefs that investigators believe eventually drove him over the edge.
They control the federal government, they control the mass media, they control the Federal Reserve Bank. And with those powers, they are committing genocide against the white race.
Cross faces a preliminary charge of first-degree murder and could eventually be prosecuted in both federal and state courts.
Time is running out for people to get a hepatitis A vaccination if they ate at a university area Papa John's. The Mecklenburg County Health Department held this final vaccination clinic tonight on Beatty's Ford Road. More than 1,000 people have been vaccinated so far, but the pizza chain says more than 2,000 may have been exposed. If you missed the county vaccination clinics, you still have options. Call this hotline, 855-397-7777. Papa John's can tell you where to get help.
Personal information for victims of rape, domestic violence, even child sexual assault supposed to be kept secret. So why did the state post it online for anyone to see? That's next at 11. New at 11, private information identifying thousands of crime victims across North Carolina posted online for anyone to see. The information was supposed to be kept secret, but a revamp of a state website accidentally exposed it.
For many victims, they're going to want to know, who could have potentially seen it. It's the internet. Anyone could have seen it.
Monica Johnson-Hostler is director of the state's Coalition Against Sexual Assault. She works to protect rape victims' privacy. She's especially worried because the list included information about child victims of sexual assault. The information has now been taken down, and the Department of Public Safety, which oversees the website, has apologized.
The Better Business Bureau is warning Netflix customers about a scam. Con artists claiming they work for the video streaming service are trying to get money and private information from unsuspecting people. Jerica Duncan has this consumer alert.
Canadian computer expert Jerome Segura investigates online scams. The latest has con artists targeting users of the popular video streaming service Netflix.
It's a tech support scam.
Netflix customers get an email or pop-up ad directing them to a real-looking but fake Netflix login page. Segura set up a computer stripped of personal information and recorded the screen as he investigated the scam. After logging into the fake site, he received a notice.
We have temporarily suspended this username.
The page gave a 1-800 number to call for support. Segura called the number and a con artist posing as Netflix tech support answered. The scammer said he could fix the problem, but first needed remote access to Segura's computer. The scammer directed Segura on how to give him remote control. What you're seeing is the con artist actually downloading files off the computer.
I had set up fake banking spreadsheets on the desktop, and they were taken as we were speaking. You want me to take a photo of the card?
When the scammer asked for credit card information, Segura ended the call.
It was time for me to just hang up.
The fake Netflix website Segura logged onto has since been taken down. Netflix told us they believe the scam is no longer active, but Segura warns con artists could try it again, posing as other companies. Jerica Duncan, CBS News, New York.
Netflix says they use various means to protect members and their brand from cyber criminals. Computer experts say you should always be very careful before giving anyone remote access to your computer.
This year's allergy season could be extreme thanks to our harsh winter. The wet weather this winter primed the trees, and cold temperatures delayed the start of allergy season. Experts say people with allergies should check pollen counts before heading out.
Pollen typically higher in the morning. You want to be outside later in the day when pollen counts are typically lower. Breathe in.
Allergists also recommend wearing sunglasses to keep pollen out of your eyes and showering every night to wash all that pollen off your skin and hair. And this is what's trending tonight. Are you having a tough time this allergy season? We want to hear about it. Log on to our Facebook page and tell us what you think.
Yes, I am. So is half the newsroom right now.
And no doubt about it.
But let's go ahead and talk about weather, because we are thinking if a rain came in, it would wash a lot of the pollen out, but it's going to be a really crazy, bizarre weather week. Eric Thomas is live with all of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear Molly's voice through the microphones, but clearly suffering from allergies. Molly Grantham over there. For my part, I just don't want to have to take a shower every night. Apparently,
good, cool.
Yeah, to wash all the pollen off. But I guess
too much information, Eric.
You got to do what you have to do. Yeah. All right, Scott Clark, Toyota City weather net, 67 degrees. Okay, the rain has been moving in and out of Mecklenburg County there at Metro School, right around the corner from the stadium. There at BB&T Ballpark, but they did get the game in tonight. Again, sports coming up shortly. You'll see that we've had some spotty showers working their way up, but now a more substantial squall line working its way across the Highway 321 corridor, and next up the Catawba River and, yes, Mecklenburg County. So we'll start off here, Chester, York County. We have pockets of moderate to heavy showers there. We'll come up to Clover. They just had this little line move through their area, now getting ready to cross Mecklenburg County, Belmont, Mount Holly, Gastonia. To the north we go, then you'll just see this last shower. This is the last of it, this line here up in Lincoln County, and then just some lighter showers around Mecklenburg and into southern sections of Iredell County. Again, everything moving off to the northeast at about 20. So upper 60s to upper 50s, that's the spread across the viewing area tonight. With the clouds hanging around and the heavy showers, don't look for the temperatures to drop off really much at all. We'll call it 64 degrees in the morning. Boy, look at the sharp frontal boundary, though, working its way across the Tennessee-Ohio Valley. Next up, there it is, the Carolinas, and that's what's going to be the trigger for showers and more storms for the overnight hours. You'll see we're still only going to be in the 50s tomorrow afternoon as this sea of cool air continues to move to the east, 53 by 7 o'clock in the evening. So today's high was 76 degrees, but here comes the dipsy doodle behind that cold front, and then we'll start to rebound as we take it closer to the weekend time frame. Boy, a lot of heavy rain associated with this, with its severe threat as well to the south of us. We're going to see our fair share of showers and embedded thunderstorms over the next 12 to 18 hours, and then by 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, most of it moving off. But yes, that is snow wrapping around the back end of it up there across the Carolina high country. We're not going to see the snow in the Piedmont, but the freezing temperatures we will, and that's why we're likely going to see a freeze warning for Tuesday night into Wednesday morning after, of course, we get through Tuesday's rain and thunder showers. 60s thereafter, and then finally look at Easter weekend. Wow, we're back into the 70s. Sunrise services should be in great shape. And, well, for that matter, any Easter egg hunts as well. Looks good. Okay, right now, here's Jamie and Molly.
Eric, thanks. Trending tonight, allergy season. The doctors say this year is going to be really bad if you haven't already noticed. The cold, wet spring is what's to blame with setting this up. But tonight, we want to talk solutions.
Yep, so we posed the question, what do you use? Elena wrote, neti pot. How about that, Molly? With high blood pressure, I can't take a lot of meds, she writes. Mostly, I just deal with it.
Angela says honey from this area helps. I also have a neti pot, love it. I also take Claritin and Sudafed together.
We have a common theme going here. Janice told us she relies on neti pot, saline spray, Vicks Vapo Rub, and Mucinex when real bad. Push orange juice and vitamin C and tons of water.
Jamie's making fun of me because I tried the neti pot today for the very first time. You know, pregnancy, can't take medicines.
Right.
I loved it. I know it's a little nasty, but once you get past that part, I'm really into the neti pot.
As long as no one has to watch you using the neti pot.
No visuals provided. We ask a question each night on our station Facebook page, WBTV.com/Facebook. Leave a comment. We just could read it on air.
Bobcats and drama. Leah has the highlights coming up next in sports.
Welcome back to sports, folks. The first of two final games in the regular season went down for the Bobcats tonight. The guys visited the Hawks, who've already locked in the Eastern Conference 8th seed for the playoffs. The Bobcats would need a win to stay in contention for that 6th seed. It was a tough showdown tonight. Al Jefferson, though, typical form, 27 points, 15 rebounds. Yes, another double-double for him. Now, it was tied up at that point. Then the Hawks started to shut him down, taking a 50-44 lead at the break. In the fourth quarter, Cardiac Cats come to the rescue after Atlanta's Lewis Williams ties it with ticks to go. So tied at 93, Chris Douglas Roberts gets the call and gets it done there with the floater at the buzzer. The Bobcats win it 95-93. Since both the Bobcats and Wizards won tonight, Wednesday's home game against the Bulls, that is a must-win for that 6th seed. And I want you to take a look at these Eastern Conference standings right now. The Pacers, well, they have clinched that top seed. And you see bottom there at the 6, 7, and 8 seed, Washington, they right now own that 6th seed with the Bobcats just a game behind. But the Bobcats would own the tiebreaker should they both finish with the same record. The Hawks, they're 5 back from the 6th seed, so that's why they've locked in the 8th seed. All right, let's talk about baseball now. In the bigs here, the Braves in Philadelphia. Phillies would be the first to get on board. Ryan Howard goes yard off Irvin Santana in the 2nd inning. Braves would struggle early on until Evan Gattis knocked the 2-run shot for the 2-1 Braves lead. This game got really busy for Atlanta later. They had 3 runs in the 8th, 4 in the 9th. Atlanta comes from behind to win 9-6. All right, folks, you often see top athletes unretire, and 22-time Olympic medalist Michael Phelps is next on that list. His longtime coach, Bob Bowman, made the announcement today to the Associated Press. Phelps will compete in Mesa, Arizona, April 24th through the 26th. It'll be his first meet since retiring after the 2012 London Olympics. The 29-year-old Phelps has been training since last fall, and he has entered in the Charlotte Grand Prix, which begins May 15th. It's not definite that he'll actually compete. Phelps and his team will decide on that as the event draws near. Well, after winning the Masters and taking home $1.62 million, Bubba Watson went to Waffle House. Watson, it's one of my favorite spots too. He tweeted the photo of it. Really, I'm serious. It's a fine establishment. This this was his family and friends here early in the morning. Augusta area Waffle House. Bubba is a regular there. Now the final round at Augusta National came down to a battle between Jordan Spieth and Bubba Watson. Watson winning his second green jacket in 3 years. Also, Knights fall tonight 6-0 to Durham. Those two teams back in action tomorrow at 7. We'll be right back.
There you go, 68 tomorrow, the high, but it's the showers and storms that'll be the headline, and then the cool air, the big headline after that. We might be, well, freezing on Wednesday morning. What?
Middle of April, Easter weekend is coming. And
good point. We'll be warmer by then.
Thanks, Eric, and thank you for making us your first choice for news at 11 o'clock.
See you again tomorrow.
Tonight.
In his own words, a Medal of Honor winner from right here in Charlotte reveals new details about the battle that killed 6 of his comrades.
An RPG had hit right behind my head and it knocked me unconscious.
Reefer madness. A man high on pot accused of murdering his wife in Colorado.
Sparking new concerns about the legalization of marijuana.
Caught on camera, a masked man snatches a little boy and runs to a waiting van.
It was terrifying for everybody involved.
It was all a prank, but is it still a crime?
Another freeze warning in effect tonight. When the warmer weather returns, I'll let you know when we hit the 80s.
This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas. WBTV News at 11 starts right now.
This North Carolina Army Sergeant's heroism on the battlefield saved 7 lives. Tonight, he's the nation's newest Medal of Honor recipient. Good evening and welcome. I'm Paul Cameron.
And I'm Molly Grantham. Thanks for being here. Sergeant Kyle White was outmanned and outgunned in the middle of an ambush on a dark mountain pass in Afghanistan. But he found the courage to sprint into enemy fire and save the lives of his wounded comrades. All new at 11 o'clock, Colleen Harry has White's story in his own words. Colleen.
You know, Molly, we hear people throw around the word battle. Athletes talk about battling it on the field or on the court. Real battle is what this Army sergeant saw, and he faced it head on. Here's Sergeant Kyle White tell the story.
9 November, it's a day that'll be fresh in my mind for the rest of my life, I have no doubt. And definitely something, that day changed me.
His military career spanned 5 years, but it was one day in November 2007 that former Army Sergeant Kyle White will not forget. He and several American servicemen were ambushed in the Afghanistan mountainside. They heard gunshots.
That was the initiation of their ambush. One shot, down into the valley, and then it was 2 shots, and then it was just full automatic fire in RPGs.
White says the enemy was firing from different directions with AK-47s and rocket-propelled grenades, or RPGs.
An RPG had hit right behind my head and it knocked me unconscious. When I woke up, I was face down on a rock.
Then an AK-47 hit a rock that splintered in his face. White says he never saw the rest of his group together again, but he noticed Kane Schilling, wounded in the shoulder, running for cover. In the middle of the gunfire, White ran to help him. Then he saw Marine Sergeant Philip Box about 30 feet away with multiple gunshots. White says he didn't want to leave him.
I already thought, hey, I'm not going to make it through this because there's no cover. The fire's coming in. It's just a matter of time before I'm dead. And so I figured if that's going to happen, then I'm going to try to help somebody while I can.
Dodging enemy fire, he dragged Sergeant Box to cover. Then he came upon First Lieutenant Matthew Ferreira.
Checked his pulse and he had been killed in action.
Dodging and ducking, White made it to cover and radioed for help. It would take hours, but medevac eventually lifted the wounded out. Sergeant would later get the news. His best friend was one of the 6 who died in that battle.
That was really hard to hear.
And Sergeant White left active duty with the Army in 2011. He now works in Charlotte as an investment banker. Molly?
Thanks, Colleen. Incredible story. Like many Medal of Honor recipients, Sergeant White is humble. He says he'd rather focus on those who gave their lives in the firefight. So we want to take a moment to honor these men. Marine Sergeant Philip A. Box, Captain Matthew Ferrara, Specialist Joseph Lancourt, Corporal Sean Langevin, Sergeant Jeffrey Mersman, and Corporal Lester G. Rock. Sergeant Kyle White will join President Obama at the White House on May 13th. We will make sure to show you that when it happens.
Some breaking news right now out of Monroe. Here's a live picture from a Rite Aid pharmacy, and you're seeing a chicken truck that drove halfway through the store. Now, this just happened in the past hour at the drugstore. This is on Highway 74 near Carolina's Medical Center Union, very busy area. We've just learned the driver was transferred on to CMC. Investigators are not sure what happened to him, possibly a medical condition. We'll have more as soon as we get it. We just checked for an update on the man injured when a train slammed into a truck in West Charlotte tonight. Sky 3 over the tracks as emergency crews arrived near West Summit and South Clarkson. You can see the damage just everywhere as debris. We saw the driver of the truck on a stretcher being taken. Medic told us they took him to CMC Maine with serious injuries.
A third person is charged in the murder of this Gastonia man. Police say Brian Dale Jones's body was dumped on Old Dowd Road in Charlotte after he was killed in Gaston County. Police now charged Mark Huntley with accessory after the fact to first-degree murder. Police already arrested and charged Avery Lale Jr. with the murder. Police say Huntley assisted Lale with disposing of Jones's body. Huntley's being held in the Gaston County Jail.
We have some new developments in the Sam Parker corruption trial. Today, the former Chesterfield County Sheriff took the stand in his own defense. He blamed the people who worked under him for many of the issues that led to the charges. Ashton Pelham was in the courtroom as Parker revealed what he says he didn't know.
Former Chesterfield County Sheriff Sam Parker appeared calm as he took the stand in his own defense, facing 8 charges, 5 of them misconduct in office.
Did you knowingly ever violate any of the laws alleged in this 8-count indictment by the state?
Absolutely not. Parker is accused of knowingly letting 2 inmates sleep and live in the armory in exchange for doing work on his property. While in the armory, the inmates testified they had access to the internet, phones, and had unlimited unsupervised visitors, all with the sheriff's knowledge. Today, Parker said he was unaware of what was going on in the armory until a SLED investigation. He also said the inmates never did work on his property. Parker testified he allowed inmates to live in the armory to improve response time on emergency calls. The former sheriff also addressed accusations from deputies who say he threatened retaliation if they went to higher authorities with their complaints.
Did you ever threaten to indict anybody as it related to Mike Lee or William Skipper? Ever?
No.
Is it reflected in any of those notes that you've looked at?
It's absolutely no way in those notes. While on the stand, Parker admitted he never read a state contract that he signed about how inmates are supposed to be housed. He said he was too trusting of his jail administrator to make sure everything was in order. When asked why didn't he arrest the 2 inmates who shot guns on his property, Parker testified he didn't know it was illegal for an inmate to possess a weapon.
Not only embarrassed, but as of today, I'm very adamantly embarrassed for not even doing it.
Closing arguments will begin tomorrow morning. In Chesterfield County, Ashton Pelham, WBTV, on your side.
We will be back in the courtroom tomorrow for those closing arguments. Parker is charged with 5 counts of misconduct in office, 2 counts of giving contraband to inmates, and 1 count of embezzlement.
Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police and U.S. Airways are investigating a possible hate crime at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. A man told police he found a noose hanging on his locker at the airport Monday morning. WBTV obtained a picture of the noose. It's blurry, but you can see it hanging from the door. The 56-year-old man is black, and he says because of this, he feels intimidated. U.S. Airways told him not to speak to us on camera because of the investigation.
The FBI is offering up to $25,000 for information leading to the arrest of 2 men wanted in connection with the North Carolina kidnapping. Frank Jansen was taken from his home in the town of Wake Forest 2 weeks ago. Investigators believe the abduction was payback by a North Carolina inmate put in prison by Jansen's daughter. Investigators say Jacob Tibbs and Quantavious Thompson were involved. Both men are considered armed and dangerous. An FBI raid at an Atlanta apartment freed Jansen days after he was abducted. Agents say Jansen was not seriously harmed.
Warm weather will finally return, but first we have to get through one more night in the 30s.
30s. Chief Meteorologist Eric Thomas is counting the temps tonight.
Yeah, and not just the 30s, but for the 2nd consecutive night, the National Weather Service has a freeze warning up again. So if you took your plants in the garage last night, you might want to leave them in there for one more night. All right, here it is as we step outside. Scott Clark Nissan Honda HD Tower Cam, clear skies. That will help us to cool off in the late night hours. Although we're still hanging in there at 49, but already down to 37 in Lancaster. That's why some areas are really under the threat. 36 Lenore and already down to freezing in Boone. Once again, you'll see mainly clear skies around the Carolinas, but that freeze warning, it is out for everyone in the WBTV viewing area. The only exception in the mountains where the growing season hasn't started yet. All right, I like the looks of this forecast for your Easter holiday weekend. It's coming up shortly.
Eric, thank you. Tonight there's a story out of Denver, Colorado that has many wondering if legislators acted too quickly when they legalized recreational use of marijuana.
For years, movies like Reefer Madness scared generations of teens away from using the drug. While Colorado and Washington state debated legalizing it, many pointed to the movie as an example of fear-based propaganda, and they called it unrealistic.
But tonight a woman is dead. Her husband's in jail, and as Kristen Miranda reports, it may have all started with a bong hit.
Police are investigating if marijuana played a role in the death of a woman inside this home in Denver, Colorado.
She was an incredible mom with 3 incredible children, and the only thing that's important is that they're safe, which they are right now.
According to an arrest document, police say Christine Kirk initially called 911 to report that her husband was hallucinating, talking about the end of the world and saying he wanted her to shoot him. She also believed he was under the influence of marijuana.
RP versus her husband has been smoking marijuana. They advise they do keep a handgun in the house, but it's not in anybody's possession.
But while Christine was still on the phone with 911, she said her husband grabbed the gun. She started to scream. A gunshot rang out, and Christine's voice was never heard again. The couple's children were also inside the home at the time.
I used to go to school with them, and they were really nice kids, and they didn't deserve for this to happen to their mom and their dad.
Police spent the day Tuesday gathering evidence from the home. Neighbors looked on in disbelief. Several brought by bouquets of flowers.
We want to show that our community is here to support the family and that we're here for them. So it's important to create that memorial, I think.
Kristen Miranda, WBTV, on your side.
Now, this story broke the same day we learned about a new study of marijuana smokers. That shows even casual use of the drug can lead to major changes in the brain areas, controlling emotion and motivation.
I want to mention the Bobcats have a winning season. They beat the Chicago Bulls at the Cable Box tonight, and now they are headed to the playoffs. Delano's going to have much more on that coming up in sports.
Next at 11 o'clock, a masked man runs onto a playground, snatches a little boy, and speeds off with him in a minivan. Turns out it was all a prank, but is it a crime?
Plus, new technology coming to every cell phone. Why security experts believe it could destroy the market for stolen phones. You're watching WBTV, Charlotte's #1 choice for news at 11 o'clock. And we're back right after this.
Another
Chilling story out of Texas tonight. Surveillance video captures a burglar walking through a home and creeping into a toddler's room as the child's parents slept nearby. You can see the intruder shining a flashlight through the room and even on a sleeping child. Cameras are mounted throughout the house, but the baby's parents say they don't think the burglar cared.
I was infuriated, saw him walking back and forth in my baby's room. He looked up some of the cameras he saw, and he made some statement that I'm here and I don't care.
Investigators believe the intruder is a teenager. He got in through an unlocked first-floor window and only stole $60, but he also got away with the family's peace of mind. Now, that's not all. Another terrifying incident involving a child, and this one happened in broad daylight.
A masked man, Paul, jumps from a van, runs into a park, and snatches a little boy playing on a bench. But parents' panic turned to fury minutes later when they learned it was all a prank.
Everyone was furious.
Parents say they still can't believe what they saw on this quiet playground in Washington state.
It was terrifying for everybody involved.
A violent child abduction.
There's a van pull up and a guy jumps out with I thought it was a Halloween mask. It's more like a ski mask now. And races up to a little boy, skips him up and runs back and jumps in the van, takes off.
Everyone started calling 911. There were a bunch of other kids freaking out and parents freaking out.
Moments later, the van came back. The people inside told parents they were making an educational video on abductions and the child's mother was in on it.
So they're saying it's for kidnapping awareness, to show how easy it is to do something like that.
Twin brothers Jeremy and Jason Holden pulled the stunt. They have a YouTube page where they post pranks. Some are harmless, but others include fake store robberies and kidnappings to get a reaction from the public.
There's no law against stupid.
Police are investigating, but say they don't think the twins committed a crime. The chief says they're just lucky they didn't get shot.
Based on what they're seeing, that they can believe a crime is taking place, serious crime is taking place, and that they would have been justified, yes.
Parents hope the twins think twice about the videos they make and never come near this quiet park again.
It was appalling for them to put people through this.
So this is what's trending tonight. Do you think it should be considered a crime? It's not, but should it be? We heard from many of you guys on our Facebook page tonight. Keisha wrote, they should have made the bystanders aware of what they were doing. And yes, they are lucky they didn't get shot. This prank could have gone wrong in a split second. We ask a trending question each night on our Facebook page. Answer it. We could share your comments on the air.
Cell phone makers have agreed to add a new technology to their devices that could really cut down on the number of stolen phones. Starting next summer, companies will add a kill switch to every new phone. It'll allow users to remotely delete any data and make their smartphone inoperable if it's stolen. Experts believe that will make stolen phones worthless to thieves. Recent cold weather has caused major problems for farmers in South Carolina. And this isn't just about last night's freezing temps. An earlier freeze in late March means the fruit supply may be scarce until July. South Carolina Assistant Commissioner of Agriculture says peaches in the northern part of the state will not ripen until June.
Chief Meteorologist Eric Thomas is live right now in the First Alert Weather Center. It has been cold today, Eric, cold a couple days in a row here. We're looking for a change.
Well, let me put that into perspective for you, Molly. Today, if you take the average temperature, both factoring in the high and the low, it was the second coldest April 16th. In the 75-year record that I just looked through. So no doubt this one's going into the record books in that respect. Certainly one of the top 5. All right, Scott Clark, Toyota City Weather Net. At the moment, we're at 46 degrees. This from CPCC. Great sunset, not a cloud in the sky. And of course, we're looking northwestward across the skyline. Now, look at this map. This is the temperature change over the last 24 hours. Now, you might look at Charlotte and say, well, okay, so we hit 32 degrees for the overnight low last night, but boy, we're 9 degrees warmer right now than we were at this time last night, so clearly we're not going to get that low tonight. But hang on just for a second, because Charlotte is kind of the outlier here. If you look at all of the areas around, I mean, Rock Hill's right on pace to be just as cold as they were last night. Gastonia only 1 degree warmer. Concord only 2 degrees warmer. Lancaster is actually 4 degrees colder right now than we were at this time last night. And you'll see that there's only slight changes as well all the way up into the foothills. So that means that that target of freezing, again, is at least within range. There's a chance maybe we don't hit it here in Charlotte because of what I just showed you. So this is what we'll call it, 37, 8 o'clock in the morning. Here comes your Thursday. Some of you, though, will be dealing with that early freeze again in the pre-dawn hours. Rest of the numbers stack up like this, near 50 around Charlotte as said, but cold numbers can be found. 38 Wadesboro, look out, 36 in Morganton, and mid-30s as we take you up into the high country. All right, so here's what it looks like. You have a boundary coming across the middle of the country, the upper Midwest, but no consequence to us at this point. So the number is 52 through the noon hour. Now today's high 57. We'll get you into the low 60s tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll work it back a little bit, but not all that much. Remember now, the sun not setting until 8 o'clock in the evening, so still near 60 even by 7. Well, I mentioned the high today, 57. We will be climbing up. I said about 61 tomorrow at 4, 63 probably the official high. How about Easter weekend? There it is, right at the average high of around 72, 73, 74 degrees. It is really going to be great. So nothing to report over the Carolinas at this moment. So we look ahead. There it is. Thursday's Futurecast, very quiet again around the Carolinas. But you see this front? Let's extend this into Friday. And it will start pulling some moisture up into the picture. You see the clouds arriving. And then here comes the rain. But it looks like most of this is going to slide off to the east. So again, not as pretty Friday into Saturday as clouds begin to break up. But overall, I really don't see much, if any, rain in here until after the weekend. So temperatures with the sunshine will keep climbing upward, 60s Thursday and Friday, mid-70s Saturday and Sunday, and then a run at 80 by next Wednesday, and just a slight chance of a shower in here maybe on Tuesday. All right, with that said, happy Easter. Sunrise services, there it is, 6:46 a.m. The sun comes up, and for everybody else, just enjoy and keep it safe. That's it. Molly and Paul.
And the Bobcats in the regular season on a winning note. D-Man next with sports.
Welcome back. Bobcats and Bulls wrapped up their regular season tonight at Time Warner Cable Arena. Both had something on the line. Cats trying to get to the 6th playoff spot in the East. They needed a win, coupled with a Washington loss at Boston to make that happen. Coach Steve Clifford's Cats struggled early while Chicago was on point. Former Bobcat DJ Augustine, the 3 and the foul. He led the Bulls with 17. They took a 10-point lead. Second quarter, here comes Charlotte, sparked by Kemba Walker. The spinning jumper would start a run that would put them out in front. Cody Zeller on the end of the alley. Oop! Cats went on a 21-8 run to take a 4-point lead at the break. Second half, when the Bobcats needed buckets down the stretch, Chris Douglas Roberts to the rescue. He had 13 off the bench, Final seconds of regulation. Yeah, the fans were feeling it. Cats a chance to win it. Kimba's jumper at the buzzer. No good. They go to overtime. But in the extra session, Kimba would come through big, scoring 8 of the team's 11 points. Bobcats did their part to get the 6th seed, winning 91-86, finishing the season 43-39. But Washington beat Boston. So the Bobcats get the 7th seed and the defending world champion Miami Heat in the first round. Game 1 will be Sunday in Miami at 3:30. Bobcats were 0-4 against the Heat in the regular season. How about a little minor league baseball on the board at BB&T Ballpark? Gwinnett a winner over Charlotte 7-2. Same teams tomorrow night at 7:05. Now, Knights owner Don Beaver had his other local team play this afternoon as Hickory Crawdads hosted Kannapolis at beautiful LP Franz Stadium. Pretty nice weather for Conrad and the fans this afternoon. The Intimidators, well, they got off to an early 1-0 lead, and from there it was all about defense. Danny Hayes with the diving rob job to get the runner at first. Then Hickory turned in the nice double play. Kannapolis would win it 4-3 in 12. Both teams are now 6-8 on the young season. Great crowd on hand for this one, as you can see. The very popular Businessman Special. That's a great stadium over there, too. Keeping with the Don Beaver and the Hickory area theme, Rock Barn Golf and Spa getting ready to host its 12th annual Champions Tour event October 13th through the 19th. You can now buy tickets for the big event. They went on sale today. The Greater Hickory Kia Classic has become one of the most popular stops on tour for the senior golfers, so expect another great field. And speaking of a great field, the Wells Fargo Championship is no stranger to a stellar one today. Phil Mickelson and Lee Westwood, a couple of the players to commit to play in the tournament April 28th through May 4th. So 14 of the top 35 players in the world will be here at Quill Hollow. Master champ Bubba Watson withdrew today. We're back with more news right after this.
All right, your first alert forecast over the next 7 days. 63 Thursday, about the same Friday. How about, wow, mid-70s Saturday and Sunday, and that's Easter weekend. So what a great weekend to have great weather.
And it's going to be clear.
Yes,
beautiful
sunny, dry,
skies.
room temperature. All right,
Eric, thanks. And thank you for making us your #1 choice for news at 11 o'clock.
We hope you sleep warm and sleep well, and we will see you tomorrow. Good night.
The following is a response to a recent Speak Out editorial. The views expressed are solely those of the speaker.
Many of you are responding to our Speak Out editorials and sending us your views on issues affecting our community. In regards to the Duke coal ash spill and who will pay for the cleanup, Celeste from Matthews writes,
"It seems to me that while Duke Energy customers did benefit from Duke Energy's low-cost disposal methods to some extent, the people who had the most benefit from the policy were upper-level executives who received bonuses based on profit and stockholders. I think the time has come for the risk to be realized by those groups rather than the customers, many of whom live on shoestring budgets."
We asked if it's time to admit that colleges are actually minor league systems for the NFL and the NBA, and if student athletes should be paid to play. Les Herring strongly disagreed.
College is for learning, not paying for sports players. You are demoralizing the basis of an education when you start paying people to attend college just for sports. Sports are extracurricular activities and should stay as such. If you want minor league basketball, then start it up. Our country has become dumb enough.
Let us know what you think. Look for the Speak Out page under the Community tab on WBTV.com.